The Food and Drug Administration provides guidelines that are made in order to assure the safety, efficiency, and security of our nation's food supply. These guidelines have been implemented in many places of society, such as schools and colleges. These regulations include allowed supplements, additives, and preservatives in addition to acquired food groups that must be offered to the consumer. The FDA is responsible for creating a set of standards that growers and producers must follow in order to be able to sell their products. Additionally, they require places like schools to provide these products. To learn more about the food promoted by the government, we interviewed our school.
How long have you been working as a lunch aide at the school?
Okay, I've been a lunch lady for 10 years, over in Nesquik for 9, and here for a year.
What type of foods are you told to serve to people at the school?
Okay, we get a set menu from our office, our food director, Regina Dunn. She sends us a set menu, so we serve what she puts on the menu. She gets her information from the government, and it trickles down to us.
Do you believe that these foods are healthy or adequate lunches for children age 14 to 18 in high school?
I do think they are. I do think, kids' appetites vary. Some kids don't eat anything. Some kids eat 2 lunches. But I do think they're adequate. They do meet the state requirements.
Do you know what companies provide the food for the school? And do you know if the foods are free from additives or preservatives?
We get our foods from various vendors. We get like Tyson chicken and stuff from all over, but we do get our fruits and produce locally, like from Yellow Top Farms and that. And I'm gonna guess most of our food comes in frozen, so I'm gonna guess that it does have preservatives and additives.
Do you know what the kids think about the new government rules regarding the school lunches?
Well, this year we implemented the snack regulations, and I don't think they like them. They're still buying snacks, maybe not as much, but they're still buying snacks. I don't think they like them, but this is what our Miss President says we should do.
So natural foods cost more money for consumers and lead consumers to buy products filled with GMOs and additives. Does the school have enough funding to buy these organic foods, and are they using the funding for that?
I'm going to say that's above my level here, but I'm going to say the government does regulate our foods and what we sell, and we do get funding, but I can almost bet that we do not get organic foods, and the funding for that would be a lot more than what we're getting now.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The budget for our school, like many other schools in the United States, does not allow us to buy organic. However, the government should have regulations in place that does not allow additives, preservatives, and GMOs into our foods, so we shouldn't need to worry about budget and buying organic if all our food was just safe to eat. In a survey, we asked people, do you know what GMOs are? 61% said yes and 39% said no. After this, we asked, do you believe that it should be okay for the government to give money to companies who sell products with GMOs? 43% said yes and 57% said no. Our government heavily subsidizes the corn industry. Corn is a versatile crop and is now used in many processed products, such as cereals with high fructose corn syrup. Also, corn is used as feed for chickens, pigs, and cows, which is not natural, leading the animals to develop bacterial diseases like E. coli because of digestive troubles. We interviewed a nutritionist to have a professional view on food.
How long have you been registered as a nutritionist?
I've been a registered dietitian for 10 years.
Do you believe that government regulations are beneficial to public health, regulations like subsidizing crops, or do you think the promotion is just solely for economic benefits?
That's a great question. I think at the core, like for example, subsidies of commodities and crops, initially were created to help people, so particularly to avoid hunger when poverty because of poverty. And I think, though, as a result, though, when you open the door to anything, it has now become something that we need to control. So, for example, corn is highly subsidized, and as a result, food companies realized they could use corn all the corn that they had to make high fructose corn syrup, which now is in sodas and something that's not necessarily helpful for us. But I think originally when, that was decided, it was because, people were starving and needed food, and corn, if we could subsidize this one crop or if these few crops that they subsidize, it could be helpful, to avoid that. And as a consequence, this is, we see other things happening. Of course, if we could open up subsidies to things like fruits and vegetables, then, it'll kind of help balance out the potential negative implications of subsidizing things like corn and soy and things like that. So I think it could go both ways. It can be really helpful, but to a limit, and then how do you define that limit is questionable.
Our government should provide subsidy to support the production of organic fruits and vegetables. However, our government continues to support GMOs and does not listen to consumer reps.
To the policy side, Marion Nessel, does the FDA regulate genetically modified foods?
Yes, it does, and it does in conjunction with the Department of Agriculture and the Environmental Protection Agency. And I was on the Food Advisory Committee in 1994 when the FDA made its decisions to approve the production of genetically modified foods, and also when it decided that not only wasn't not necessary to label genetically modified foods, but you also weren't going to be allowed to. And I was a consumer representative on the committee. They didn't listen to the consumer representatives. We warned the FDA at the time, and this was now 20 years ago, that if they didn't label genetically modified foods, there would be a consumer backlash against them because consumers would wonder what they were trying to hide. And I think that's what's happening now. And the big surprise to me is that it took 20 years to get to this point.
U.S. industry representatives and the USDA oppose labeling, claiming that genetically modified foods are not substantially different from foods developed by conventional crossbreeding methods, and labeling would just be expensive. Therefore, when Proposition 37 was made in California, voters rejected a ballot measure that would have made the state the first in the nation to require special labeling of foods with genetically modified ingredients. It is getting more challenging to find foods without GMOs because corporate giants like Monsanto are monopolizing the crop industry. Monsanto genetically modified the soybean and patented it. Monsanto can continue providing GMO-filled foods because of the Monsanto Protection Act. This act easily passed because Clarence Thomas, a Supreme Court justice, had professional ties to Monsanto, as well as many other leaders in the FDA. Consumers should be able to buy affordable, natural, and safe foods. 87% of people in a survey said that our health is more important than our economic thriving off cheaply produced GMO-filled foods. Regulation should be made based off of health concerns rather than economic gains. We deserve to have the freedom of knowing what is really in our food.